Hey guys, this is a story that actually two stories that came out almost a week ago, but it's so shocking and I hate that it's become normalized so that we don't even cover it that much. So I'm trying to fix that. It is two different stories. One is about Al Green. He's a Democratic congressman from Texas, and he called for Trump's impeachment. Now, whether you agree or disagree with that, or you think it's on time or a little early, is not the relevant part of this story. There's normal ways to disagree with that. But he did a town hall recently where he played some recordings of people who'd called in who disagreed in a way that were not civil. So I'm going to read those to you in their entirety and exactly as they are. So I want you to understand the power of the words, so I'm not going to change them. One caller said, and you could hear it if you were in the town hall as he played it, hey, Al Green, we've got an impeachment for you. It's going to be yours. It's actually going to give you a short trial before we hang your nigger ass. So that is what one caller said to Al Green, because he apparently disagreed with him on impeachment. Here's another caller. He said, well, no, we'll lynch all you fucking niggers. You'll be hanging from a tree. Now, I know that when we cover these issues, the right wing says, oh, you're bringing up race. No, I'm pretty sure that those callers were bringing up race, and they were bringing it up in the most horrific ways. So we're supposed to brush that off, I guess, but why? If a Muslim called in to any old congressman in the U.S. and said, we're going to murder you, we're going to blow you up, and we're going to have suicide bombers come after you, I'm pretty sure authorities would take that very, very, very seriously, right? And so it's easy for you sitting at home, no matter who you are and where you are on the political spectrum, to say, Al Green shouldn't sweat it when they talk about lynching him. But you might have a different perspective if you were Al Green, or you were on the receiving end of those. And it's not like there hasn't been violence done to Democratic legislators by right-wingers, including recently. Okay. So, by the way, this is part of the, if you say that's just anecdotal, first of all, anecdotal to you, again, a little bit more concerned if you're Al Green, and more importantly, concerned that this stuff is now being said publicly, that people would have, of course, hidden in shame in the past about this, but now they're brazenly leaving it as voicemails for congressmen. But it's not just that. I mean, look, if you look at it statistically, and now this is a little bit different, obviously, it's not about lynching, but when you ask Republicans, do you believe Obama was born in the U.S.? Now, Bernie Sanders has said this in the past, is a great point, which is that his father's from Poland originally, but nobody ever questions whether Bernie Sanders was born in the U.S., and there's a good reason for that. Bernie Sanders, Obama, both progressives, in Obama's case, kind of. Anyway, but 39% of Republicans, even after Trump admitted that he was lying about it, and that, in fact, Obama is a citizen of the United States. Of course, he didn't say, I'm lying about it. He said, it was less than 30 seconds. Normally, he loves to talk. But okay, fine, Obama is a citizen, and I had no evidence against him. What happened? I thought you said you sent your investigators to Hawaii, and they were finding amazing evidence, right? No, it was lies all along. But even despite that, 39% of Republicans to this day say, no, Obama not born in the U.S. 28% say that they are not sure. Is that a position that has some racial connotations? Well, to say the least, right? So, unfortunately, it affects a huge percentage of the Republican Party, and then the most extreme elements are the ones here talking about lynching and murdering black people. But now, it's also Republican politicians. So there's a Republican member of the Mississippi House of Representatives. His name is Carl Oliver, and he is upset that they're moving out some Confederate monuments. Now, these are, of course, monuments to the losers who betrayed the United States of America, declared war on America, and committed treason. Anyway, he apparently is very un-American, and so thought it was a wonderful idea to commit treason against the U.S. So here's what he wrote in a recent Facebook post out in the open. Again, this stuff is brazen. He said, the destruction of these monuments erected in the loving memory of our family and fellow Southern Americans is both heinous and horrific. If the, and I use the term extremely loosely, quote, leadership of Louisiana wishes to in the and Naziist fashion, ironic, burn books or destroy historical monuments of our history, they should be, and this is capitalized, lynched. Let it be known I will do all my power to prevent this from happening in our state. So he's upset about what's happening in Louisiana, and he's saying in Mississippi that he will help to lynch people who try to get rid of the monuments to Confederate leaders who were in favor of slavery, fought a war for slavery, committed treason against the United States because of slavery. And in the midst of slavery and after slavery in the South, what do? They committed lynchings to intimidate and terrorize black Americans. Now they talk about our history, but in proud ways, and then come around and repeat it. Say anyone who defies the deification of those, well, by definition, racist leaders should be lynched. So it is a trend worth noting. Doesn't mean that every Republican believes it. It certainly doesn't mean every Republican politician believes it. But there are some conservatives out there now openly talking about lynching black people. And so we should not normalize that. We should not accept it. We should call it out for what it is. By the way, Carl Oliver is deeply, deeply, deeply racist. And he talked about lynching people who won't bow their heads to Confederate leaders. Is a man who, at a bare minimum, has a gross, grotesque misunderstanding of history. But in reality, I think he understands it fairly well and is happy to repeat those terroristic racial slogans of the past. So call it what it is and understand what we're dealing with here. Okay, we didn't make Carl Oliver say that. We didn't make those conservative callers say that to Al Green. That is the reality, and our job is to report it. So if you don't like it, well, then do something about it. What do the right-wingers say about 1.6 billion Muslims? That they're all responsible to speak out against radical terrorism? Okay, well then, as a conservative, it is your duty, most of all, to speak out against this kind of radical racism. And if you don't, I guess you're partly responsible. That's your logic.